may not care, but it's my duty to share some of the lines running through this man's mind. There are days where I'm not. They dig through the rubble, tossing items aside as they struggle to figure out why someone would trouble the community like this. A more subtle method must have failed him. The dramatically grim scene slowly clears as the workers dig, collect, and toss out big pieces of debris. I do believe the time was between 2 a.m. and maybe a quarter to 3 when one of them discovered a key buried deep within this ashen sea. I watched the employees slowly uncover a black box. Unharmed by the incident, they can't help but gawk at the smooth cube as one of them stoops and unhoops a loop and shoves a key into the lock. I leaned over their shoulders to look inside as the others realized that this might be the greatest find of the decade, maybe further, because the confined contents were some of the most amazing poems and rhymes ever mustered by a real poet laureate of his time. Now, you may not care, but it's my duty to share some of the lines running through this man's mind. There are days where I'm nothing to say, trying to remember what spell in the grave fits the weather today as I pretend to pray that the next juicy story this prey on happens to walk by this way so I could slay the owner and pretend that it's entirely my own. It's not really known how little remorse I've shown because I only care to hone my skills, increasing my talents, working to find a balance between trying to press those who have grown callous to just a few lines of poetry may possess, and burning too bright, intimidating those wishing to express themselves in a similar manner. I don't intend to shatter the confidence. It's just that the prominent figures are determined to label me incompetent and people swallow this following the so-called politics of poetry that openly tried to ignore me until recently. I forced my entry into the German scene. I've seen how tricky it can be to break through. I have seen people who opted to chew all the way through their own dignity, accepting false ministries as they willfully dismiss the imagery that I tried to provide to the masses. Hey, do you know what burns me? Only matches. I've seen flashes of my brilliant passages, but oddly feared the fashion of actions that had to happen to get recognition short of rapping. So I hid these words inside a cabin as I apologized for the behavior of my passion, thinking I would be safe from this dragon. It made no sense. I was intimidated by my words as they strive towards their own goals, hiding the cards from me, yet I believe that I could get the party going with 2 left feet. So when I turned right, I was given a bite of the apple, the orange, the whole fucking garden. And I beg your pardon for slipping to the margin and cussing in my poem. I should really sharpen my vocabulary before I commit another sin. No. Fuck it. I have the pen. I'll make the whole world listen as I ink and think into past the shrinks of Professor Frink so the world is steadily carve my way. Finding those who have been starving for just one enlightening stanza. Now, my cooking skills are very appetizing, but they cannot and will not provide all the answers you seek. In fact, I'm not even sure you're worthy of reading this. It's probably flying over your head. You're probably tempted to dismiss this and read about what so-and-so be like instead. It doesn't matter. My notebooks continue getting fatter as I climb the ladder and I say, fuck the moon. I'm aiming for Saturn. So I gotta ignite this rocket starting tonight. See my words? Something I no longer fear. My poems have become an equivalent to a German engineer. These are raw metaphors, keeping you high for 3 years and 2 months. One's voyage wouldn't even have to refuel once. So I'll lock this box and burn down the entire city block. And when the tick-tock knocks the Daedalus clock, you'll find my poems gasping in shock. As you realize this is how I started conquering the Western, Central, and entire Eastern bloc. Thank
you. Daedalus Chaos, ursprünglich stammt er aus Texas, jetzt aber aus Warschau angereist, wo er zurzeit lebt.
I leaned over their shoulders to look inside, as the others realized that this might be the greatest find of the decade, maybe further, because the confined contents were some of the most amazing poems and rhymes ever mustered by a real poet laureate of his time. Now,